name is Cameron Hopkins, and today I am here with Mr. Dylan Lee. Now, Mr. Lee, we have recently interviewed several people about what they think of when they see these images. And most of them have answered by saying, because
almost everybody from birth sees these images that relate to classic horror movie monsters. Since the beginning of the invention of storytelling and language, humans have told stories about monsters and creatures as a warning, as a lesson, for everything from getting children to behave to keeping society under control. You have this threat of a monster, of a creature, of something that will do bad to you. These images that you've shown me are the images that have burned themselves into our modern unconscious. Myths. These are our modern myths, and we respond to these images, again, because we've been trained to since we were young. You go to any store on Halloween, whether you're 30 or you're 2, you're gonna see the images of the mummies.
Mummy.
Movies-wise, what do you think?
It was one movie.
Movies are very old, so.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna just say Hotel Transylvania again because that's the only one I can remember.
What about that one?
Images of the vampires, the images.
Dracula.
Okay.
I think with vampires is Vampire Diaries. You got, Hotel Transylvania. You got all that.
Okay.
Images of the werewolves. So
that makes me think that it's a werewolf because of the moon.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
What movie or genre do you think it's most likely from?
Well, I think it's probably from a horror flick, but I also saw Teen Wolf, which was not nearly that scary, and so I don't know that I don't know. I can't name a modern werewolf movie.
My mom can't name any modern TV shows. Okay. She really needs.
It's way into our subconscious because really that's the way humans are built.
That's a really good answer. Now, are there any examples you like to give towards this?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, do you have any examples of things that would? Do you have any examples of different things that would help implant these ideas of these images into our mind?
Well, I can tell you where some of these, the lessons or the warnings that some of these represent. For instance, the wolf is symbolic of the impulse in man to be more violent and animalistic, right? Because the fear is that uncontrollably you turn into a half man, half animal, and you can't control what you do when you transform. So the lesson this is teaching people in the myth is to control their animal instincts. The traditional tale of Dracula, written by Bram Stoker, what it teaches us is, or what the lesson that it's trying to convey is to beware of seduction, because Dracula is a very seductive character. So it's kind of a caution. Frankenstein.
Yeah, the girls didn't get this one.
Okay, that is Frankenstein's monster, Mary Shelley.
Mary who?
Mary Shelley was the author of the book.
Oh, right, of course.
Yeah.
Same question with the Dracula. What do you think it did to the world?
Okay, so I think there's two things it did to the world, and one is that it's inspired all kinds of things. There was the young Frankenstein
Good.
movie, right? And then there was there have been other similar ones. There was, what was the one? There was a Mary Shelley in the mid 90s. They did a movie of that. But then also, if you really want, there's like a whole sector of people who are very picky about that being Frankenstein's monster and not Frankenstein. Like there's a bunch of people that say, oh, it's Frankenstein, and then there's people who get real picky about saying it's Frankenstein's monster. So there's a subculture of militaristic grammarians, I guess you would say.
And The Mummy are our most recent. Mine is a classic human should not play God tale. Frankenstein is created by man, not by God, right? Frankenstein is a monster created by Dr. Frankenstein, or the Frankenstein's monster is. And so this is a lesson to modern man to not play God with science, the unknown, or fear of tampering with the ancient knowledge of Egypt. Mummies are only really existed in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when British archaeologists started digging in the Valley of the Kings. So it's a fairly new idea.
Well, anyways, my next question is how long do you think that these monsters will impact our minds? Do you think that their impact will grow larger?
That's a great question. I'm not. Every myth, every concept in human history. That's a great question. Every myth and every concept in human history is going to change over time. So Dracula may eventually be replaced with Jason from the Friday the 13th movies. The Wolfman may be replaced by Michael Myers from the Halloween movies. The concept and the purpose that these monsters serve in the human's mind will remain constant. What they look like will change. What is going to determine this is how long does popular culture hold on to these things. So as long as they're still making Dracula capes and costumes every Halloween, we will always have Dracula. As long as there are still movies and masks representing the Wolfman, we will always have the Wolfman. So these concepts are going to last as long as they are within popular culture. But keep in mind, most of these images, with the exception of the werewolf, are fairly new in human history, right? We've been around a long time, at least of Dracula. So I don't know how long these will last. Again, they're all pretty recent, but werewolves have lasted for at least 500-600 years in the popular human consciousness. So, but there will always be symbolic monsters. They may not always look like this. 200 years from now, they may look completely different, but we will always have these symbols of monsters that try to teach us something about humanity.